The year was 1612. The most dangerous duel in Japanese history was about to happen. On one side stood Sasaki Kojiro, the most feared swordsman in all of Japan. People called him the demon of the western provinces. His sword was so fast that people believed he could cut the wind itself. And on the other side stood a man nobody had taken seriously. He had no school. He had no master. His own father had abandoned him as a child. Society had rejected him completely. People used to tell him, "You will never become anything." But that day in that duel, with just one single strike, Sasaki Kojiro fell to the ground, and that so-called nobody became the greatest warrior in all of Japanese history. His name was Miyamoto Musashi. But here is the thing. Musashi's real power was never in his sword. His real power was in something that is the most important thing in today's world, yet the fewest people actually have it. That thing is self-discipline. And today I am going to tell you the complete story of Musashi. A story that can genuinely change your life. But there is one condition. You must watch this video until the very end. Because the real lesson comes at the very last moment. Musashi's story does not begin like a hero's story. It begins with a broken childhood. In 1584, in the Harima province of Japan, a boy was born. His mother passed away when he was very young. And his father was so harsh and violent that he used to beat his own son mercilessly, and eventually threw him out of the house. At just 7 years old, little Musashi was sent away to live with his uncle. Think about that for a moment. A 7-year-old child, no mother's love, no father's protection. While other children were playing and laughing together, Musashi was wandering alone through dense forests and cold mountains. But this is exactly where Musashi learned the very first lesson of his life. He noticed something strange. When he was around other people, they made him feel weak. They mocked him. They laughed at him. They called him worthless. But when he was alone, deep in the forest or high on a mountain, he felt a strange and powerful energy rising inside him. That energy was the power of fighting against himself. And this is the same truth that applies to your life right now, in this very moment. When you are alone, that is when your real test begins. When nobody is watching you, what do? That is your true character. Do you scroll your phone for hours? Or do you do something productive? Do you go back to sleep? Or do you get up and put in the work? Musashi chose to work hard when he was alone, and that single choice changed his entire destiny forever. Now listen to the incident that became the absolute turning point of Musashi's life. Musashi was only 13 years old. Yes, 13. At an age when children today are playing video games and watching cartoons, Musashi challenged his very first real deathmatch. A wandering samurai named Arima Kihei came to the village. He was a trained and experienced warrior. He put up a public notice that read, "Is there anyone brave enough to fight me?" Everyone in the village was terrified. Not a single person stepped forward. But then a 13-year-old boy stood up. The crowd thought he was joking. Arima Kihei burst out laughing and said, "Go home, child. This is a game for grown men, not for little boys." But Musashi did not leave. The next day when the duel actually happened, Musashi defeated Arima Kihei, at 13 years of age, against a fully trained adult samurai warrior. But the important question here is, why did Musashi win? Because Musashi did what Arima Kihei did not do. Preparation. The night before the fight, while Kihei was sleeping peacefully and confidently, Musashi stayed awake the entire night. He studied Kihei's fighting style. He made a detailed plan. He controlled his fear completely. Arima Kihei was relying on his talent. Musashi was relying on his discipline. And that is the difference that separates ordinary people from extraordinary ones. The world is full of talented people who achieve absolutely nothing. And the world is also full of so-called average people who change the entire world through pure discipline and consistency. Talent starts the race, but discipline is what carries you across the finish line. After the age of 13, Musashi made a decision that would define the rest of his life. He decided that he would travel across all of Japan and challenge every single famous swordsman he could find. And then began a journey that no one in human history has ever replicated. More than 60 duels, and not a single defeat. Not even one. But think about that for a moment. 60 fights. In every single fight, there was the very real possibility of death. One mistake, and it is over. No second chances, no respawns, no do-overs. You either win or you die. So how did Musashi never lose? Even once? Because look at how Musashi prepared himself every single day. His first rule was that he woke up before the sun rose. Every single day, without exception. Whether it was raining, whether it was freezing cold, whether he was injured and bleeding, there was never an excuse, not once. His second rule was that he practiced his sword techniques for hours and hours, every single day. When other samurai were resting and enjoying themselves, Musashi was training and sweating and pushing his limits. His third rule was that he controlled his emotions completely. When anger came, he held it inside and stayed calm. When fear came, he acknowledged it and pushed forward anyway. He never once allowed his emotions to control his decisions. There was one duel where his hand got badly injured. Blood was pouring out. Any normal person would have stopped and surrendered. But Musashi simply switched his sword to his other hand and continued fighting, and he won. Why? Because Musashi had not just trained his body, he had trained his mind. And this is the single biggest lesson for anyone listening right now. You can build your body in the gym. You can gain knowledge from books. But until you train your mind, until you learn to control your laziness, your excuses, your craving for instant gratification, you will never be truly successful in anything. Now comes the most famous duel in all of Japanese history. April 13th, 1612. Ganru Island. Sasaki Kojiro was considered the most fearsome swordsman alive at that time. His fighting technique was so deadly that people called him the demon of the western provinces. He had a special signature move called Tsubame Gaishi, which literally translates to the swallow cut. This move was so fast and precise that nobody had ever been able to block it or counter it. People believed it was unbeatable. The duel was scheduled for 8 o'clock in the morning. Kojiro arrived exactly on time. He was perfectly dressed, perfectly prepared, and perfectly confident. All the officials and witnesses were present and ready. But Musashi did not show up. 8 o'clock passed, no Musashi. 9 o'clock passed, still no Musashi. 10 o'clock came and went. Musashi was nowhere to be found. Kojiro was burning with rage. His face was red. His hands were shaking with anger. "He is a coward," Kojiro screamed. "He is afraid of me." And then, close to noon, a tiny boat slowly appeared on the horizon. Inside sat Musashi. His hair was messy and uncombed. His clothes were wrinkled and dirty. And in his hand, instead of a proper sword, he was holding a roughly carved wooden oar that he had made from the boat's paddle during his journey. Kojiro became even more furious. "You dare insult me with a piece of wood?" Blinded by rage, Kojiro drew his famous longsword and charged at Musashi with everything he had. But his anger made him reckless. His aim was off. His technique was sloppy. And Musashi, perfectly calm and perfectly patient, delivered just one single strike with his wooden oar. Just one. And Sasaki Kojiro fell to the ground, defeated. What had actually happened? Musashi had deliberately arrived late, on purpose. Why? Because he knew that Kojiro's greatest weakness was his temper. If Kojiro got angry, he would make mistakes. And Musashi waited patiently for exactly that. And why did he use a wooden oar instead of a real sword? Because Kojiro's katana was exceptionally long. The oar was even longer. It gave Musashi greater reach and a crucial advantage. Musashi did not win that fight with a sword. He won it with his mind. Do you understand what this means? Discipline is not just about working hard. Discipline is about working smart. It is about controlling your emotions when everyone around you is losing theirs. It is about reading the situation clearly, and it is about having the patience to wait for the perfect moment to strike. Now comes the most interesting part of Musashi's entire story. After winning more than 60 fights and defeating every single opponent who dared to face him, Musashi did something that shocked everyone who knew him. He put down his sword. He stopped fighting completely. He said something incredibly powerful. He said, "I have defeated every man I have ever faced in my life. But there is still one enemy remaining. That enemy is myself." And from that point forward, Musashi dedicated the rest of his life to understanding himself on the deepest possible level. He learned painting, and he became so extraordinarily skilled at it that his paintings are still displayed in the finest museums across Japan to this very day. He learned calligraphy and mastered the art of beautiful writing. He studied philosophy and spent years thinking about the meaning of life, discipline, and human nature. And most importantly, he wrote a book called called the Book of Five Rings, known in Japanese as Go-Rin no Sho. In this book, Musashi wrote down every single lesson he had learned throughout his entire extraordinary life. And this book is still studied today in the top business schools around the world. CEOs, professional athletes, military leaders, and entrepreneurs all read this book to gain an edge in their fields. But Musashi's most powerful writing was his very last one. It was called Dokkodo, which translates to the path of walking alone. He wrote it just 1 week before his death. 21 rules, the complete distilled essence of 61 years of an extraordinary life. And out of those 21 rules, there are 5 that are so powerful, so relevant, so life-changing, that if you apply even one of them to your life starting today, you will become a completely different person. Rule number 1. Do not seek pleasure for its own sake. Musashi believed that a human being's greatest enemy is comfort. When you are comfortable, you start dying from the inside. Those things that give you 5 minutes of pleasure, like endlessly scrolling social media, binge-watching shows for hours, eating junk food, staying in bed all morning, these things are quietly stealing years from your life. Starting today, do one thing every single day that your mind does not want to do. Wake up early when your body begs you to stay in bed. Exercise when every muscle says stop. Read a difficult book when your brain just wants entertainment. That is where discipline is born. Rule number 2. Do not under any circumstances depend on a partial feeling. This means stop depending on how you feel. Today you feel motivated, so you work out. Tomorrow, you do not feel like it, so you skip. This approach will never work, ever. Musashi said your actions should never be controlled by your moods. Whether you feel like it or not, you do the work, period. Discipline does not begin when motivation arrives. Discipline begins precisely when motivation leaves. Rule number 3. Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. This is an incredibly deep rule. Musashi believed that the moment you start thinking you are important, you stop learning. Ego is the single biggest enemy of discipline and growth. No matter how successful you become, no matter how much money you make, no matter how many people praise you, always remain a student. Always keep learning. The moment you think you know everything is the exact moment you start falling. Rule number 4. Do not regret what you have done. Musashi had killed more than 60 men in duels throughout his life. Did he feel regret? He said something powerful. He said, regret means giving your past permission to control your future. Whatever has happened in your life has already happened. You cannot change it. Learn from it and move forward. Living in regret is actually just another form of laziness, because you are choosing to live in the past so that you do not have to take action in the present. Rule number 5. Do not let yourself be guided by the feeling of lust or love. This does not mean you should never love anyone. What Musashi meant was this: do not let your emotions become your master. You are the master of your emotions. Your emotions are not the master of you. When anger rises inside you, stop, breathe, think, and only then respond. When fear grips your heart, understand that fear is just a feeling. It is not reality. Feel it and move forward anyway. When you feel like giving up on everything, remember exactly why you started in the first place. Musashi spent his entire life proving one single truth. A human being's greatest enemy is not the world outside. It is not other people. It is not bad luck. A human being's greatest enemy is himself. And the greatest battle you will ever fight is the battle against your own weakness, your own laziness, and your own excuses. Musashi was once asked a simple question: how did you become so powerful? His answer was just one sentence. He said, every single day I kill the man I was yesterday, and every single day I give birth to a new and better man. Tonight, when you go to bed, ask yourself one honest question. Did I do today what I should have done? Or did I do what I felt like doing? If your answer is the second one, then change starts tomorrow. No, change starts right now. Because you do not need to pick up a sword like Musashi did. You do not need to fight 60 duels. All you need to do is wake up every single morning, look at yourself in the mirror, and say these words: today I will be better than I was yesterday. Whether anyone sees me or not, whether I feel like it or not, I will do the work. That is discipline. That is real power. That is the way of the samurai. If this story ignited something inside you, then subscribe to this channel and share this video with that one person in your life who needs to hear this message the most right now. I will see you in the next video. Until then, stay disciplined, keep working on yourself, and never ever give up.